the next one talks about managing across the gaps. So if you're an agile manager, and I tend to think that I'm agile, I hope my team that's on the call would support me in that. I really feel it's our role to attract and retain talent of all ages. And I've always looked for people to help them capitalize on their strengths. And I have really enjoyed having such a variety of generations in the workplace, especially during my time here with the city. So an agile manager can also shape a more cohesive, creative, agile team, can find ways to reduce stress and friction for themselves and the team, and also drive success for employees in the company. So the first thing that let's back up. I want to talk about that little wonderful chart real quick. A bias check. So it's learn to notice and reset your perspectives. You know how, especially the millennials, and I won't harp on this too much today, but I do think they get a bad rap. A lot of people talk about them in a very generalized way, in a broad brush approach, which I think is kind of unfair, but that could apply to any generation. So also having an understanding of what is the generation and what makes up that generation and how did they come to be, what shaped them. Also understanding how we could tweak different processes and approaches and still find ways for generations to feel like they're adding value and they're contributing to what needs to be done in the workplace. And then finally, personal flexibility. One size, one style of communicating and managing does not work with every person. Situational management is really something that I highly suggest, especially if you're dealing with multiple generations in the workplace. There are people that can run off to the races and get the job done with a little text message. There are others who want you to stop by their desk and talk to them and explain it to them. And a lot of that is tied to how they work and what their perspective is from their generation. So let's go to the next slide. So what is a generation? Well, it's a group of people born during a certain time span. It's millions of unique individuals, but it is a way of kind of clumping people together based on their shared circumstances and things that have influenced them in their growth and development. And it also includes other factors that impact the way they interact at the workplace, their career level, their stage of life, their personality, etc. So a lot goes into these different generations. And we're going to get started with our first one in just a minute. The next one is a slide that, go ahead and switch slides for me. Would we skip a slide? So here's a kind of a starting point for everyone. You know, I talked earlier about how everyone wants to feel valued and wants to feel respected and appreciated in the workplace, regardless of whatever generation they are. So here we're talking about, is there one generation that values flexible work hours? Is there one that wants to grow at work? Is there one that wants meaningful work? Is there one that wants to feel valued? The answer is all of them do. Everybody wants to feel that they are making a difference. And in order for them to be motivated and feel like they're contributing to the best of their ability, we need to understand their background and where they come from so that we can help bring that goodness out of them. Go ahead, change slides. Here's a kind of a recap of all 5 generations. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk you through each one of them. We're going to provide insight on what influences them in their growth and their development. What are the characteristics that people normally relate to that particular generation? And then we want to talk a little bit about how each of them learn and what they value when they're at work. So the first one is traditionalists, born 1920 to 1945. Do we have anybody on the call who can raise their hand that they're in that category today? If we are, I would be surprised. How about the next one, baby boomers? Anybody on the call from 1946 to 1964? Yes, I see a raising of a hand there. I'm not in that category. This is my category, just to be clear. I'm Gen X, 1965 to 1980. So I would like to say that there's a lot of people in the different category there. Hopefully there's a few today. How about millennials? Do we have anybody born 1981 to 2000 on the call? Good to see. And then finally, Gen Z, anybody born 2001 till present. Most of them just getting out of high school, so I don't think we have any on the call today, but many of us have them living with us in our household. I'm a proud dad of a recent high school graduate.